welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy Saturday. It is the weekly energy card reading. And what that is every week you, the viewer, get to choose from one of 3 tarot decks or oracle decks. And with that deck, we go ahead and do a quick card spread to see what the energies will be like for the next 7 days. It does not need to be the week of November 7th through the 14th, 2020 in order for the messages to resonate. At any time, if you come across this reading and you are drawn to the images or something about the reading, there might be messages contained. There's a saying in card reading, we say take what resonates and leave the rest. And so this is for entertainment purposes only, and definitely if you feel like the message is not resonating, by all means, you do not need to take the message. Maybe you could choose another deck or possibly a different reading from a different week, and there might be more messages in there for you. Now, to get started, I just wanted to thank you for visiting my channel. Today I am a little low energy. I've been really bad where I worked all day long, and then when I got home, there was pictures from my trip that I took at the beginning of October. They arrived in the mail, and it is amazing how how when you need to budget your time wisely, I am so bad about that when it comes to things that I love to do, like scrapbooking. The moment that pictures arrive in the mail, I always want to organize them and start, putting them into the albums or putting them into the pages for the spreads that I'm going to do for my books. And this, especially when it's a trip that I take with my parents, with my mom, I always have a space in my scrapbooks, my journals which are 12 by 12 books. But I always create a smaller album that's like an 8 by 8 for my mom. And so, of course, I kept telling myself I need to film the card reading tonight. I'm not gonna mess with the pictures. I'm gonna leave them in the box. And I actually thought the box was coming tomorrow, so I was hoping that I wouldn't even be tempted. But even after a long day, I caught myself, organizing pictures, and it catches me every time because I get so excited about it. It was a wonderful trip, and there was just so many really fun little things that happened, and there were such beautiful scenic views of everything, and it really was a relaxing time. And of course, I've shared with you that I plan on doing a theme of merit badges, and so I'm putting together the pages for it. And of course, my creativity. I kind of laughed because it's funny. I order my pictures. I order them online. And I have them shipped to me. And I had ordered from a different company, from a department store. I had ordered a replacement of my favorite perfume. After I lost my toiletry bag, I figured, let me have a backup. Let me have a backup. And so before Christmas hits, or before the holidays hit, and before things really go up in price, let me go ahead and stock up on some of the essentials. And as I bought my perfume, the department store sent me a discount, like a 50% off for pictures at my picture place, the place that I buy all my pictures from. And I was laughing so hard because it's like I can just imagine like an email from my picture provider to the department store going, hey, excuse me, this chick buys a lot of pictures from us. She gets free shipping as it is. Don't enable her. Don't enable her, because they really were. It was a big box of pictures that I got today, and that's only half the order. The other half of the order is coming later this week. And I know, but I think it's important. Documenting memories is important, and but the other thing that I laughed about that is just that I just get so into it, and I could be totally disheveled, and it's like messy bun getting stuff done, but I just wanted to share you with that because something about putting that, especially the cover of the album, when I put that front picture into the album, that's just it's a moment for me. And so I kind of delayed the reading to but we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna stop blabbing. We're going to jump right in. Of course, I'm sorry, I should have said this in the beginning. Anytime you want to jump to your reading, the timestamps are in the description box. So feel free, if you ever want to skip the blabbing and jump right to your reading, please feel free to do that. I decided to go, per the norm, I decided to go with decks that we have not seen in a while. And I was actually playing with this deck before I started filming because this is my beloved Morgan Greer deck. And this is not the first, actually the first deck I bought was this one. And I'll tell you when I get to it, but this is the first ever tarot deck I ever bought. This is the second tarot deck I've ever bought, but this is the deck that I learned on formally. And this always speaks to me. This has such good juju to it. the good juju. So the first, and so as I go through the decks, I'm also going to be clarifying the read with the mystical Kipper cards. And those are kind of like Lenormand. They really give a lot of description. And I was really drawn to pull them out. And you've heard me say that before. The moment I'm drawn to pull something out, inevitably something really good comes from the meaning of the spreads. That was another spacey moment that I had, is because there's actually a book that goes with the Kipper deck. And I couldn't find the book. And that's so unlike me. I'm one of those really meticulously, annoyingly organized people that if I can't find something, if it's not in its place, like everything has its place, the problem is if it's not in its place, I have no freaking idea where it is. But it turns out, and I figured it out, it turns out I'm like, okay, if it's not in the bag that I keep my deck with, it's got to be in another bag that's the same size. And it turns out that I was doing a spread with it earlier in the week, and I put it in the other bag. So, unconscious. But okay, enough blabbing. First deck is the Morgan Greer deck, and with it we have a beautiful piece of sea glass. Second deck is the Inked in Intuition. It's the Tattoo Tarot, Inked in Intuition, and with it is a beautiful cherry volcanic quartz and a piece of my hair. I'm sorry, I have curly hair and it gets everywhere. I vacuum often. The last deck is the Art Nouveau Tarot, and this is Cycra 1994, a real long time ago, and this is the actual very first deck that I ever learned tarot on, or I ever bought for tarot. And what it was is, the reason I didn't formally learn it is because it has a lot more artsy kind of images. And the artsy images are beautiful, but they're not quite the same. If you're learning, it's really good to get a really straight up basic deck that has like the real true how to tarot images. And so this one is beautiful, but I had to learn the tarot before I could read it. So this is my first deck, second deck, but first actual learning deck. And paired with the Art Nouveau Tarot is a really beautiful piece of raw rose quartz. Sorry, nearly drew a blank. Rose quartz. And this was actually gifted to me from one of my tarot ladies. So it has such good energy to it. It has such good energy. All right, but enough blabbing. I'm going to go ahead and do a freeze frame. If you like the deck, if you like the art, maybe you like the timestamp, whatever gets you feeling in your jellies, whatever makes you feel it, pulls you to it, go with it. If you need more time, please pause the video, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. I'm going to go ahead and move the decks up, and I'm going to get a drink of water. I don't normally do that, but it's really been a long day, and I'm burning the midnight oil, and I don't normally do that when I'm in a card read, but you know, these are, free readings. I don't charge any money for anything, so I'm just going to take a sip of water. Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me hydrate. All right, so first deck, Morgan Greer, my beloved Morgan Greer, with this piece of sea glass. And it's funny, a few years ago, I learned everything about sea glass. I went to this really wonderful little festival. It was just this small town in the state that I live. I'm in North America. And there was a lady who started making sea glass jewelry because she was fascinated about how sea glass is formed. And honestly, glass like this with the real kind of sandy kind of texture really has been tumbled like in the ocean for like 90 years. For it to get that smooth and to get that texture, So I just think that's amazing. If you're one of those persons who likes to go to the beach, who maybe I'm getting your energy from that. Please let me know. Deck number 1. Do you like to go to the beach? Do you like to walk along the beach? Do you like to pick up seashells and sea glass? Because that just amazes me. That and the naturalist in me. I know I do a lot of things that don't seem so eco-friendly, but I try to be good where I can. But I think that's amazing that something like this, a piece of glass, could have been out in the water, with the erosion of natural forces for 90 years. All right, enough blabbing. I'm really talking a lot today, guys. Sorry, I am tired. So deck number 1. What's your energy for the week? Okay, this. All right, middle of the week. Wow. Ooh, 8-8. Holy Toledo. All right. I told you this deck speaks to me, right? This deck totally speaks. Queen of Swords and Page of Cups. Ooh. Ooh. And I'll say again, ooh. I love the Queen of I love the Queen of Swords, and actually in the How to Tarot, we're about a month away from doing the Queen of Swords because she's my girl. She's my significator. Being a Libra woman, I can't wait to get to her reading, her How to Tarot. But all right, guys. This looks like some pretty heavy energy, but there's no fear because there are no bad cards in tarot. Wow. Oh, wow, this is really telling a story, guys. Military person. Page of Cups, Queen of Swords. Wow. Okay, first off, with just the cards that are popping out, like military person, Page of Cups, Queen of Swords, I'm immediately getting off the cuff. There's somebody that wants to express their feelings towards you. You can be a man or a woman watching this. There's someone out there. Like I'm hearing that song Fievel, American Tail. I'm sorry, that's really antiquated. I'm older. I'm not a spring chicken. But somewhere out there, someone knows you, and it's almost like they kind of want to make like a heartfelt gesture, like a small little gesture. This would be something really kind of tiny, nothing grandiose. They wouldn't be coming to your house with flowers or anything, but they would. There's someone who wants to approach you, but they think that you're unapproachable. They think that you're unapproachable, and not in a bad way, but you're kind of holding your own. The other thing that I'm kind of getting is that I'm really getting a sense of boundaries. Like it's possible that you might have your guard up a little bit this week, but there's a reason. There's definitely a reason. Now, what I'm kind of seeing here is beginning of the week, we've got the Eight of Cups. And what we're seeing here is actually, when I think about it, because what is it, 7th through the 14th? Yeah. This moon cycle would actually be pretty accurate. We had a beautiful full blue moon on Halloween. So the 7 days from Halloween, the first week of from Halloween would be the waxing, like the first week of the moon getting smaller. And then we would be in the waning crescent. This actually looks like an eclipse, though. But not to get all astrologer on you. What I'm really drawn to here is that you see, and I've never noticed this before, guys, you feel like something is stagnant. You feel like something is stagnant. You feel like something is not moving. And you feel like you've put a lot of effort into something. The beginning of the week, you feel like you put a lot of effort into something, and it really does feel more emotional. So this can be I'm really getting a sense of a family or a relationship. And what you're kind of doing is the beginning of the week, you're tired of things being stagnant. I'm getting a strong sense that you're just tired of things being blah. It isn't in a mean way. It's not in a mean way, but yeah, I'm really getting a sense that you have better ways to use your time, right? I'm getting a sense of time, right? Because it takes time, if something is, if water is bubbling in a spring, it's taking its sweet time. This water looks like it's not moving at all. And it looks like a river, right? And usually rivers move. But here, you see someone who's very carefully stacked up cups, and they're very purposefully walking away from it. Um, it's interesting. I'm getting a strong sense, and oh my gosh, guys, you know how we were talking in the intro? I got a strong sense about your stone, because this isn't technically a stone. It's glass. It's sea glass, and actually by the curve of it, I can tell that it was like a broken. It was probably a broken Coke bottle. One of those old Coke bottles or one of those old soda bottles, because believe it or not, for it to be this color, really depicts a certain. It's interesting. I can try to post more information about it. The lady I had talked to a lady who knew so much about sea glass. And it's interesting. I feel like things like that, artisan kind of, when you love to do something, like this lady liked to make jewelry out of sea glass. It's amazing how she knew everything about it. She knew how seawater affects the chemical composition of certain types of glass. And believe it or not, when you're in the ocean 90 years, the bottles that were made before World War II and the bottles made after World War II have different chemical elements in them. And it depicts the color. Like the color lavender, if you ever find that really beautiful pale piece of lavender glass, that means that it was probably oh, I'm sorry, we're out of focus. It was a clear piece of soda bottle that was made before World War II, because there's a certain element in it, and I can look it up. She told me all about it. But back to your reading, sorry, but what I'm kind of seeing is I'm seeing that there's no movement, there's no agitation, but there's no forward movement either. And it's almost like you've had enough. I'm getting a real sense that you've had enough. I'm getting the sense that, if nothing is progressing, then you've got other places to be. If right here with this emotional investment, whatever it is, it could be a family member who's maybe not spending time with you. It could be a spouse that's not paying you any attention, or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It could be a love interest who's not giving you enough time or attention. And what you're kind of getting, and the beautiful thing about the Eight of Cups, and it gets kind of a bad rap, but the Eight of Cups is you see him wearing a red cloak and going up, taking a trip, right? It's almost like, and the eight is almost the conclusion, right? The eight is only 2 cards away from the 10, which is the culmination of the cycle. I always hear that expression, ain't no one got time for that, right? And I hate to say it that way, but it's true. Ain't no one got time for, things not progressing. If you want forward movement in your emotional relationships, then you're going to go where the action is. If the action isn't here and you've stacked up your cups nicely, it basically looks like you've spent enough time. You've spent enough time, and look, you that person, how long, you can imagine how long that person was sitting there stacking cups, right? Stacking cups. They were organizing their emotions. I feel like you kind of been there, done that, and I do get the sense that it's a relationship, but beginning of the week, and it's funny, the red of the cloak and the way that it makes you look like a traveler. And, in the very long introduction, I talked about how I went on a trip and how invigorating that was. I really feel like you need a trip. You need a break. That's what I'm getting from this, guys. You know what I'm getting from that? It isn't that you're like trying to be like, hey, this isn't working, I'm walking away forever. No, this is minor. All these cards are minor arcana. There's no majors here. You need a break though. you need a little bit of action. The other thing that I'm kind of getting, and I'll just come out and say it, is if someone's not paying you any attention in kind of the romantic sphere, there's this great play that I like, and I'm gonna just go ahead and quote it. And it was introduced to me by my little niece. My little niece is a thespian. She was in theater all throughout high school, and she really introduced me to so many really great plays. But there's a play that had a revival in 2016 called She Loves Me, and oh my gosh, guys, I heart this play because it's actually the basis for the movie You've Got Mail. And it's actually based on a book from the 20s. But in the story, they go to a restaurant and they're pen pals. They go to a restaurant and the maitre d has the funniest song that you've ever seen, and he's singing about we maintain a romantic atmosphere. And I keep hearing that, a romantic atmosphere. Da, 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 da. Sorry, I'm I'm in a strange mood. Sorry, y'all. Um, but that's what you want. You don't want to be sitting on the sidelines with some barren grass, no grass growing, no water moving, cups stacking. You're like, I'm out of here. I'm sorry. Got to go. And what you're doing is you're putting on your traveling cloak because you need some interaction. You need some activity. You need a romantic atmosphere. And so what you're going to do is you're going to put on your cloak and you're going to leave for a while. You're going to leave for a while. And it's funny, it's almost like you're taking charge of this situation. You're saying, okay, this is meh. And I'm not going to just stay where meh is. So beginning of the week, I feel like the other thing is red is empowerment, right? It's empowerment. It's saying, okay, I don't need to stay where things are blah. So I do sense that you're going somewhere. And the interesting thing is by the middle of the week, you got 8 and 8. I think I think something about your emotional and it is a little bit of an emotional discontent. There's no other way to say it, but I don't feel like it's crippling, and I don't feel like you're just saying. The other thing is that these cups are very well stacked. The chance that they're going to be in the exact same position when you come back is very high. So you're almost like, hey, all right, no action here. Cups are going to be here when I get back. Let me go find something exciting. And in the middle of the week, you get some kind of activity. Now, my famous line, sorry y'all, my famous line is, I read this one of two ways, and I do. It's the same number. So I either think that if this is relating to someone, you kind of putting on your red cloak, your lady in red, your guy in red, by you invoking some passion and getting the heck out of Dodge, it is making someone notice you. Like if you've been feeling ignored by you being like, okay, I'm gone, someone's going to that's going to put a fire under someone to realize what they've been putting you through. Now, the other way I read it is that maybe with this being red and this being wands, you do legitimately start taking action. It's almost like you decide, okay, I'm this I'm tired of being bored. I'm tired of being emotionally ignored. So in the middle of the week, you're going to have a lot of irons in the fire. Maybe you call up your friend. Maybe you start on that creative project. Maybe you organize over 150 pictures. Maybe you start throwing yourself into work. Maybe, I know right now we're still in pandemic world, but I do think in the middle of the week, you're going to start signing up for stuff. And it's almost like you saying, okay, if my love life is kind of, acting like a dead fish, where can I? And the other thing is that what I think is interesting is you see a river through all of this. But what's beautiful is that this river is really calm too, but you're flying over it. You're flying over it. It's almost like you walk away and you start throwing rods over the river like, all right, what can I do? What can I do? If this isn't working out for me, all right, peace. Peace and love. Bye-bye. And then you start doing things that really make you excited. One other way that I can kind of read it is that if you have been feeling a little bit like melancholy because the love life isn't really happening, middle of the week, I feel like, and again, I almost feel like this is the universe kind of, if one area of your life is dim, it's giving you permission to fire up other areas of your life. But this definitely has a hint of creativity. The other thing is, I think you have, I really do get the sense that you might have 8 different projects going on. But yeah, the other thing that I kind of get is, what I'm almost sensing is it's almost like you're crossing this river. you're bridging over to something. And I know that's pretty heavy energy for a weekly energy reading, but it's almost like your things start to speed up a whole lot when you stop thinking about, you know, your emotional life, or when you start moving. When you start moving, you really pick up speed. I have a sense that by the middle of the week, you're going to feel like you have potential. You're going to actually acknowledge your potential. And I also get the sense that this is change that's been meaning to happen for a while. You know, you're not supposed to be sitting there lonely with 8 cups. You know, go ahead and throw those rods into the air and see where they land. Now, the end of the week, this is quite interesting, is that end of the week you got the 5 of Cups. And wow, guys, you got like this little lazy river in all 3 pictures. You got this little lazy river. Um, I'll be quite honest. You might come back to the cups, like maybe you walk away and say, oh, okay, these cups will be okay in the beginning of the week, and then you go off and kind of do your thing, and then you come back and 3 of the cups are missing and 3 of the cups are turned over. And I don't want this to make you sad. I don't want you to make you sad. I don't think that this is anything that you don't know about. I don't think that this is anything that you don't know about. The other thing that I kind of want to do is I want to put the astrologer hat on for a minute. Mercury just went direct. So for several weeks, it's been retrograde. And Mercury retrograde is usually a time, and come out and say it, it's usually a time for you to, anything that begins with RE, like revisit, revamp, and when it comes, especially when it comes to cups, it usually means revisit in the sense that you might be talking to someone from your emotional past. But what I'm kind of getting is that maybe I think that for a long time in your head, you might have thought that, you know, that because when you think about it, the 10 of Cups is the ultimate happiness, and the 8 of Cups is really close to that 10. So I think what you did is you thought, oh, okay, I have all of my ducks in a row. Here's my 8 cups. They'll be here when I get back. And then you went and you started doing activities that were not love related. I think by the end of the week, you are going to come back. And what this is that the 5 of Cups is usually that crying over spilled milk a little bit kind of feeling. And I'm not saying that you're doing this at the end of the week, because that's a real sad energy. But what I sense is that I do kind of sense that either this is maybe you did get kind of impulsive with someone. Maybe you got mad at someone for kind of ignoring you, and then you have a real energetic middle of the week. Maybe you start hanging out with your friends, ignoring the person who you think has been ignoring you. And then when you come back, this person has, you know, gotten upset at you, taken 3 of their cups, spilled over the other 3, and kind of left you feeling sad. But the beautiful thing about the 5 of Cups is that there are 2 cups standing. You just have to turn around and kind of see it. So what I'm kind of getting from this, guys, is that I think you're on the right path. If anything has been stagnant, you walking away is not a bad thing, because there was no movement there to begin with. And this river is still, right? There's no churning waters when you come back to these cups. But what I think you're doing is maybe you are distracting yourself in the beginning of the week. You're hoping for progress to something. So then you walk away for a little bit, you do your thing, and then you come back and you realize, okay, not only is there no progress, you're going to feel like there's no hope. But there is hope, because you have the 2 cups behind you. So it is kind of telling you that you just kind of have to turn and see the 2 cups that remain. You might be still feeling like, the other thing is I'm kind of getting highs and lows from this, right? And it's almost like I do get a sense that you're trying to put your energy where it needs to go. But you know, I don't think the love life or the emotional life is really on the level right now, and that's okay. Now your 2 oracle cards is, you got high honors and you got main person, and the main person is male. So if you're a female watching this, I'm going to come out and say it. I think that you have your eye on someone who's busy with work and they're not giving you much attention. So you're kind of getting fed up and you're like, okay, if you're not going to give me any attention, I don't have time for that, and you walk away. And then in the middle of the week, you're doing a lot of creative things. Maybe you're busy with work, maybe you're busy with friends, but you're experiencing a real high. But then by the end of the week, it's almost like you're coming back and expecting that person to have. What I'm almost kind of getting is that you come back and the person didn't even realize that you were gone, and it's making you feel real heartbroken. But what I want you to remember is that it's possible that maybe you're starting to now see the situation with clear eyes, or that it's encouraged that you see the situation with clear eyes. If someone is not giving you enough time or attention, it is up to you whether or not you want to continue to wait for them, or if you want to turn around and go back on your track, right? Because it's almost like you keep going back to, the other thing is these two scenes look the same, right? It's almost like you keep coming back to the same stacked up cups. And you're hoping, and then when you come back, there's less cups and some of them are spilled over. It's like, it's almost, you keep waiting for the situation to get better. But what is stressed here is that this person might be getting some acclaim, right? This person might be busy with their work life, and that's the reason why. And it doesn't mean that the two cups aren't there. It's just, the other thing is to kind of not, and with this, it's definitely, it's a good energy for you to do you, right? It's a good energy for you to do you. But by the end of the week, I do think that you're going to feel like, that maybe, things are just the same as they were, if not a little bit worse. But what I want you to remember is that middle of the week is really positive. When you put this energy into something positive, something creative, you're not reminded of this heartache, right? Now, the other way that I kind of read this is, if you're a man watching this reading, you might be throwing yourself into activities to forget about someone. And again, I am still getting the strong, because the red is a real sign of pride too. It's like saying, okay, I'm not going to sit around and wait for you to show me attention. I'm going to go do things. And you go and you do things. But then when you come back, it's almost like, nothing's changed. Everything's the same. And you're putting on a lot of gray colored glasses. The other way that I kind of read this too is that maybe, and especially if you're a man watching this, you might be earning a lot of acclaim, by, one way that I kind of read this is that you could be potentially ignoring somebody. There might be someone who's really trying to be there, but you keep putting them off, right? You keep putting them off and saying, okay, I got other things I need to do. But then when you come back, that person, it might be a loss. It might result in a loss. One last way that I kind of read it is that maybe you're trying to come back to someone, or maybe I'm getting kind of a sense like maybe you thought everything was in a good place when you left, so you could go. I'm getting a strong sense. Let me go take care of business. The other thing I kind of get is that right now is not a good time. Like I'm getting a sense like now is not a good time for you to do anything romantic. But then when you finally get enough time, maybe over the weekend, when you have a moment to catch your breath because you're getting a lot of acclaim, you turn and you look, and maybe this person hasn't even stuck around. So this could be potentially that you're ignoring somebody, and this could be a little bit of a warning. While it's great to put your priorities first, someone might be walking away, And the other thing that I kind of get is with the Eight of Wands, it's real energetic. It's almost like, okay, do you stay and hang out with your girlfriend, or hey, you got this opportunity at work, are you going to go do this, you're going to go do this, and you go do the work thing, but then you come back and your girlfriend's left you. And it's kind of like, whoa, ouch, then you're really mourning the loss. The other thing is you come back and you see how nicely dressed this person is. He's still wearing a cloak. So you might be feeling a little bit of the energy, but just so you know, if you're dealing with a man, this person is really caught up with a lot of things at work. The other thing is that military person tried to pop out, so it's quite possible that maybe, yeah, I am getting a sense of like someone being kind of ignored or put on the back burner. And it's really because the other thing is that if you feel like it's you, like if you're the person who's looking at the spilled cups, it's because the love interest that you're talking about is on kind of a mission right now. It's almost like they have to stick to their mission. They can't stop and talk to you or do anything in your way, but you're feeling a real sting from that. But what it's reminding you is that there are two cups that remain. So maybe this person has a plan of making everything right once they've completed the work that they got to do. But at the end of the week, just remember that there's two cups upright. You might be in a little bit of a gray mood, but try not to take that too much to heart. All right, guys, that was a lot of blabbing. Sorry, but I like to give you thorough reads. All right, so deck number 2, we have the Tattoo Tarot, Inked in Intuition. What's the energy for the beginning of our week, please? Okay. Middle of the week. End of the week, please. Oh, wow, we got 2 majors. And the High Priestess wants to pop out. Okay, let's go ahead. What's our Oracle card? And this is the Mystical Kipper deck. Okay, work occupation. We're getting a lot of that this week. The other thing is, if you are in North America, in the middle of this week there is a holiday, so I don't know if that's kind of playing into it. But let me just get a bead here. I am getting a sense, guys. Now, first off, I think in the beginning of the week, you're going to be really kind of keeping to yourself in the beginning of the week. You got the Four of Pentacles. And what I see is in the Four of Pentacles, there's different shapes. There's different shapes. Now, first off, on the outside of the pentacles, you see kind of a snake that seems to be chasing its tail. And what the vibe I get is I kind of get a sense of regeneration. I kind of get a sense of progress. So the Four of Cups the Four of Pentacles is definitely about a card of conservation. It's about really keeping to yourself. It's also about conserving money. Now, beginning of the week, you might kind of be feeling a little bit of a pinch with money, not in a bad way, but I just get the sense that you're budgeting very, very tightly. The other thing that I kind of get with this is that I'm really getting a strong sense that something this week, there's, again, with majors being in the mix, there might be some kind of, sorry for lack of a better term, there's some kind of major, the culmination of some kind of major event is coming up this week. Maybe you are speaking to someone about the verdict from some kind of legal issue. But the thing that's beautiful about this spread is that I get the strong sense that you're holding tight to what you value, right? And that doesn't necessarily have to be money. In the beginning of the week, I feel like it's almost like you're bunkering down and saying, okay, no, I'm not gonna concede, right? The other thing is that I do get the sense that you're budgeting either funds, or it might be like kind of an off pay week where you know where every dollar is going, right? The other thing is that you're not going to spend a single dollar you're not going to give any, you're not giving an inch, is what I keep hearing. You're not giving an inch. So I do get the sense that this is some kind of situation. Some kind of situation. The other thing that I'm almost getting is that maybe you're coming up. I'm really getting this strongly, guys. Please tell me if this is correct. You're coming up on the conclusion of some kind of legal verdict, and it's almost like you're preparing. Like if it goes in your favor, then you're going to have more money when it's done. If it rules in the other party's favor, you might have to pay something. And it's almost like you're ready. The snake is like shedding its skin. It's like, it's a little bit like a death card when the way that it talks about transformation, right? It's about ending one cycle and starting another. But I get the strong sense that the energy in the beginning of the week is one of conservation. It's also about not budging. You refuse to give in. Now, middle of the week is really quite interesting, is that you got the Fool's energy. You got the Fool's energy. And what it is that something, and these situations could be unrelated. I'm getting a strong sense that they're correlated. But middle of the week, you're going to be feeling kind of free. Now, again, if you're in North America, if you're in the United States, this could be related to the holiday that's on Wednesday. Um, and maybe you kind of just, maybe with having a break. And the other thing is that this is a holiday in the middle of the week, and that's pretty rare. Usually a holiday's on a Monday, right? You might be feeling kind of good. Again, at the beginning of the week, maybe you feel so kind of, stingy, for lack of a better word. I'm not calling you stingy, but this is just an energy, and we've all been there, like, okay, I don't get paid till Friday. I'm gonna, make sure that every penny is accounted for. And I'm not going to be frivolous. I'm not going to do anything that would, jeopardize what I need to do. But the snake is definitely about the ending of kind of one cycle, and the fool is about feeling really free. So the other thing is that with the fool, you have a dog. So maybe you start off the week feeling really conservative, and then by the middle of the week, if you have the holiday, just by having a day off or just having some time to yourself, you're feeling more optimistic. And it's almost, I'm really getting a sense like you get 24 hours to kind of just do your own thing. That's kind of what I'm getting, because when you look at the fool, he looks like a hiker, right? And he looks so intent. He's got his foot up on the rock, but it's almost like he's eager to go forward, right? The other thing is that maybe you get a pep talk from a friend in the middle of the week. Maybe you hang out with friends in the middle of the week, and it just kind of gives you this revival of energy. The other thing is that this is a real constricted energy, and this is a real, like, open energy. So I do get the sense that the other thing is there's a sun behind the fool. Maybe something, and you do see clouds kind of, wow, that's interesting, guys. You do see clouds kind of, it seems like the sun is burning away the clouds. Maybe you do get some news that makes you feel free, that just kind of makes you feel liberated, or something about spending time doing things that you like to do, or spending time with friends, kind of makes you forget about your problems. That's definitely something that I'm getting. It's almost like you get 24 hours to let the sun, chase away the clouds, is what I'm hearing. And then it makes you feel much better. And I love this energy because that's really beautiful energy to have, because if you are in a constant state of holding on, that's not healthy, right? Having those moments where you can completely forget about your problems and let loose, that really does goes a long way to reduce your cortisol and the stress in your body. And it does. It's almost like a Four of Swords energy. It lets you get away from your problems, and that's another four. Now, by the end of the week, you got Justice. And wow, guys, this is a strong card. And I'll be completely honest, guys. I'm not quite sure how your week is going to end. I really get the sense that justice will be served. And again, the beautiful thing about the justice card, and I'm a Libra sun sign woman, so when I see justice, you see equal balanced scales, and a sword that's held completely upright. It doesn't waver. um what I'm kind of seeing here is that I'm seeing that if there was some kind of legal or some kind of settlement, is what I keep hearing, because there seems to be money involved. um, Justice will be served. And the beautiful thing about justice, and if you get a chance, if you're really concerned about the energy at the end of the week, if you want to watch the How to Tarot on Justice, that was one of the earlier videos in the series. But the thing about justice that I always love, and maybe it's because I'm a Libra, is that um, justice is like that benevolent judge. She doesn't, she's not biased. She's impartial. And if you've done wrong, she'll call you on it. She calls you on your stuff. But if you've been wronged, or if someone's just trying to get, is just trying to take advantage of you, or she's going to call that out too. So the beautiful thing about justice is that it's never one-sided. She's going to balance the scales, and the verdict might affect both parties involved, right? Like, you might have to pay a little, the other person might have to pay a little. Maybe you're both kind of quote unquote in the wrong. But I do get the sense, I think that you're going to get a fair answer, and whether or not you like that answer is whether or not you feel like you've been wronged or you've done the wronging, right? But justice will be served. The other way that I kind of see it is that maybe, and this is just another interpretation, maybe you come across as real kind of frugal in the beginning of the week, and then in the middle of the week you're seen partying with your friends, throwing money, like, making it rain. And then all of a sudden maybe someone that you either owe money, or I'm almost getting kind of like a sense like somebody sees you on social media doing stuff, and that it brings upon judgment, right? Like, someone sees you being really carefree, and they're like, hey, you have responsibilities. When I ask you for money, you're like clamming up, like, no, I'm saving, I'm paying off stuff. But then, I saw you out with so and so, acting the fool, and where someone might call judgment on you. But I am getting I'm getting more of a fairness. And the other thing that I'm kind of getting is that these two cards being majors, I do get the sense that you know what this is in regards to, and I do sense that it is almost a conclusion to something. Now, the work occupation card, there are numbers on these. I didn't say the number in the first deck, but this number is 34, which combines to being a 7. I'm just going to read it real quick, because it does say work occupation, and you see two people kind of working the fields. And what it is it says this card has to do with an occupation or an activity, expressing that someone is active as an employed person. Usually this includes profession that requires physical effort and represents the lower or middle positions. The surrounding cards will reveal the kind of occupational area in which someone is active. They also tell you whether an improvement in the job situation or even a career can be expected. This card also represents all kind of outside work, such as gardening and everything that involves physical activity and exercise, for example, sports. Wow, guys. So one last thing that I can kind of get from this is that maybe you work hard and you play hard. Maybe in the beginning of the week you're at work and you're putting in you're really no nonsense. Okay, do things this way. And then the moment you have a day off, I am getting kind of almost something that someone sees. I'm hearing like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he gets caught catching the baseball even though he's supposed to be at home sick. I think by the end of the week it might bring some censure. I don't think it's anything terribly harsh. The other thing, again, anytime you see justice, it's one of those warranted judgments. It's nothing that's, out to beat you down. But if you were playing hooky or something like that, maybe your friend had the day off for the holiday and you didn't, and you call out sick to work, and you catch that baseball at the game. I mean, we're social distancing, but you know what I mean. Somebody sees something, and then all of a sudden you come back to work by the end of the week, and they're like, "I saw you." One other thing that I kind of get from this is that if you, ow, look at this, guys, synchronicity alert. If you look at the clothes, you see how the clothes look very similar? You know what I almost kind of get is that if this is like a work hard, play hard kind of thing, um, maybe you feel like, you know what, I do my work. When I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at play, I'm at play. Um, and it's almost like you standing up, because I do see that he's keeping his head up high, like he's keeping his chin up. It's almost like, okay, judge me as you will. But you always know that justice will be fair. So if you feel like you're being, judged for what you do in your downtime or whatever, you're like, okay, fine, go ahead and call the verdict, because I'm curious. And it's, oh gosh, it's so funny. I don't know if it's because I'm Libra. If please comment if you've ever had this happen, where you sometimes get a little cocky. It's almost like you're like, okay, you want to judge me? Go ahead. You get a little, swagger in your neck, like, doing the little. I'm sorry. In the 90s, we called that being a chicken. But where you are, you're kind of like, come at me, bro. But the thing is that I think that you need to lighten up too. The other thing is that it's almost like you're standing up for your need to lighten up, because you work really, really hard. And I don't think that, I don't like the interpretation of being like lower class. I don't believe there's any such thing as lower class. I think whatever job you do, and I am so grateful for all the jobs that people do, because like, when I go in and I talk to the person who makes me coffee, and I don't go out for coffee, very often. There's no lowly job. We all work to serve. So I'm almost kind of getting that job. I'm sorry, getting that vibe where it's like, I work to serve. I bust my ass. If you're gonna, look at my Facebook, my Instagram, and say, well, you're not being right. But I do think the Fool, when it's upright, is a very positive energy, but it is it is very carefree. It's very carefree, but I am getting a sense like you almost need that. The one other vibe that I'm going to caution about is that I'm seeing a lot of, like, I'm seeing a little bit of extremes here, guys, and that's the other thing about justice with the scales being balanced. Maybe your employer or somebody who's watching you could be a Libra, could be a Libra woman that you could be a man or a woman watching this. Maybe someone who's a little bit kind of level-headed in your life is just giving you a word of caution. That, if you work yourself to an extreme and then you party to another extreme, maybe they're just cautioning you, or you know what I'm hearing? You know how when you get a citation, and I know that's a crazy analogy, but that's what's coming to mind. When you're speeding, and the cop pulls you over, and they run your tags, and they say, okay, I see that you haven't had any tickets before. I'm just going to give you a citation. Maybe you were stressed out from work. I'm kind of getting that. Maybe in the middle of the week you do kind of do something a little bit off the cuff, but you get called on it, but they're going to be fair. They're going to be fair and say, look, I know you brushed tail feather, but try to keep it on the level. Try not to let your scales swing, becoming so compressed with work that you're miserly, and then the next minute you're so free that you're posting pictures that you shouldn't. I don't think that this is you, but I'm just also reading it like that too. It could potentially be a mom or someone who really cares about you, and they're just kind of saying, what can we do to help make you feel level. You know, what can we do? Because the other thing is that if you're working to that kind of extreme too, if you get into this energy of Four of Pentacles, because that's feeling like you have to hold on to, it's almost like every step you take, you just have to, you know, it is a little bit of a hoarding energy. You know, everything that you acquire, you have to hold on with all of your might. But then the next minute you feel so carefree that, you know, so maybe someone is kind of coming in and saying it is judgment, but it could be a loving form of judgment, and it's because they see that you're working so hard, and those pendulum swings are not, you know, not a healthy. But either way, I do think that it'll be a citation. And again, judgment's always fair. Judgment's always fair. If you're in the wrong, she'll call you. If the other person is in the wrong, you know, they get their just desserts. All right, so last but not least, with the Rose Quartz and the Art Nouveau Tarot. And this is the very first deck I ever bought. It's this fancy deck. And I did get a request to do a video about my card decks, and I will do that. I will do that. It's going to be a little scary because I'm actually going to have to put a counter on this to see how many decks I have. But this deck was the first deck I ever bought, and it's a fancy artwork one. And this was back in the time before YouTube, where, you know, you didn't really get the caution that you should buy a more traditional deck when you're learning. This is a gorgeous deck, but it's definitely more artsy. And here, look at that, we got the Empress on the bottom. So deck number 3, Art Nouveau. What's the energy for your week? Beginning of the week, please. Beginning of the week. Okay, we'll go ahead and take both. Wow. Middle of the week. Ooh, we're getting a lot of fire energy here, guys. Ho, ho, ho. Fire, fire, fire. Hierophant. 8 of Pentacles. King of Swords. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get your Kipper, your mystical Kipper deck. Ooh. Military person, main person. Wow, 222. I'm going to go ahead and go with all three. I didn't, the other decks didn't get this many, but wow, guys. Wow, I'm just, you know, I kind of need a minute. I'm definitely getting an energy involving a child, because we have the Knave of Cups, and, oh, this is Cups. I'm sorry, I thought this was Wands. So we have the Page of Cups and the Hierophant, and then middle of the week we have the Ace of Wands. End of the week we have the King of Wands. You can see it's such a decorative deck, you know, again, and the names are a little bit different, so you can see why. It's once you know the cards, it's not difficult to learn. But the Hierophant is a major arcana. I'll go ahead and say it, guys. It's possible that you either are a parent to a child, and that's going to be real prominent in the beginning of the week. Either that, or I'm hearing godparent, because the Hierophant is a spiritual leader, and maybe you are a godfather or godmother to a child. And the beginning of the week, you're going to be spending time with that child. The other thing that I kind of get is that if the main person is the woman, and this is a child, so if you are a mother, it is quite possible that, and again, the beginning of the week kind of goes over the weekend. Maybe you're taking your child to church, or there's some kind of church event that's occurring over Sunday. I'm almost getting, with the cup, I'm getting almost kind of like an important kind of ceremony, like maybe a baptism. And I know the world has been so crazy. We've been so caught up in pandemic world that we haven't had a time to do anything, normal. So maybe this is, learning communion, or maybe, again, with the cup, the chalice, it could be communion. Maybe someone has passed their communion test. The other thing that I'm kind of getting is that if this is some kind of Bible school, I'm so sorry if you can hear my cat. um, Poor baby, I need to go cuddle with her. Um, but that's my child. Um, but I do, yeah, I'm getting a strong sense that the other thing that I kind of get from this is that maybe your child has some kind of, again, some kind of event with a group, with like a social group, but I get the sense that it's I'm getting a very strong spiritual sense from this. So maybe it is some kind of accolade. Again, it can be some kind of award. They could be recognized for something. Like if this is Awana or Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, something like that. I do get the sense that, again, the way that the Hierophant kind of, usually is considered the priest, and what it is they usually conduct the ceremony. The other thing that I get is that it's quite possible that maybe you're coaching or being a spiritual mentor to a child. um, what I always kind of think of is there's this really beautiful group um, that if there's groups where you can be a big brother to a child, or a big sister. But here I'm definitely getting more of a spiritual kind of vibe. Maybe this is through church, um, or through church you have some kind of. The other thing that I can kind of get is that it's quite possible that you might be concerned about a child, and you might be either talking to your pastor or priest, or you might be speaking to a member of your family that is very spiritual and more of a religious kind of Christian sense. Like, I know for a fact, my when I talk to my mom, she usually will quote like some kind of Bible verse, and it's amazing how it always just kind of makes me feel better. Like it just seems to sum up the situation and give really good advice. The other thing that I kind of get from this is that, um, you know, um, you might also be a student. That's the other thing I kind of get, is that you might be kind of a student learning under a religious teacher. So this can also be you being kind of a devout student. But I am definitely getting more of a child vibe. I'm getting more of a child vibe. And honestly, with the main person being a woman, being the woman, and then a little child, um, I think there's something going on over the weekend. I really want to say baptism. I want to say baptism, and usually that occurs when someone is pretty little, either baby or less than 1 or 2 years old. And and again, just something about the cup and the water. Um, but either that, or it could be some kind of other important milestone. Middle of the week, they got the Ace of Wands. So middle of the week is really quite beautiful. I do get the sense that this is such a beautiful beginning of the week. I do think that's one thing that's lovely about attending services over the weekend, over Sunday and or Saturday, if you celebrate your religious beliefs on Saturday, is that it just kind of starts the week off on such a peaceful and grounded foot. That it almost makes it feel like, most of the time Wednesday feels, it's always feels like the hump day, so to speak. But and especially if you've celebrated some kind of beautiful milestone for someone in your family, maybe you were invited to a baptism. Um, but by the middle of the week, you're really feeling kind of driven. Like, I think in the middle of the week, it's almost like, um, you kind of feel like a real, I feel like you're just going to feel like a real passion for life. The other thing is that maybe you ever notice that when you attend ceremonies like that, sometimes just being in that spiritual place or something about witnessing. The other thing is that maybe you witnessed some kind of ceremony that really just made you feel empowered. I remember one time when I was visiting my mom at the beach, a good friend of hers is Jewish, and it was a full moon on Christmas Eve, and it was aligning with the last day of Hanukkah. And I'll tell you, it was such a magnificent experience. We lit the last candle, and we said prayers with her, and it was so amazing. And it kind of gives me that energy. It makes me feel like Ace of Wands, because Ace of Wands is spiritual. Ace of Wands is more action. It's more of an action kind of card, but it's almost like the whatever you saw or whatever your interaction was, whether it be with your child or maybe with a family member, or if you're a mentor or if you're a student, it really kind of inspired you. It kind of inspired you. The other thing is that sometimes when you see things like baptisms or weddings, I mean, of weddings, of course, when you go to a wedding, you always think, oh, when am I going to get married? But sometimes when you see baptisms, sometimes it also gives you a flair for life too. Like, um, I know that sometimes if you feel a little cautious about having children, but then you watch the beauty of a child's um, you know, um, taking communion for the first time or something like that. It really does. It gives you a whole of it, and it kind of it lets you see those other moments in life that are really meaningful, right? The other thing that I kind of get is that I do always feel like when you share the important moments of your family members, and especially children, that just it makes your mind so open to possibilities. Um, when a child shares with you what they're passionate about, or what the milestones that are important to them. And this could be a soccer game. It could be winning some kind of game. I'm getting less sports though. I'm definitely getting, with the cup and the emotion and the spirituality. I am getting more of a church or spiritual kind of thing. But by the middle of the week, it's almost like you feel inspired. It's giving you ideas. And the other thing is that I think just the piece of everything, this could be completely separate events, but something in the middle of the week has you feeling real inspired. And it's almost like it was like almost a muse for you. You're feeling really good. And if you are a parent, maybe you just feel real strong. In the middle of the week you feel real strong. You feel like your life is full of these beautiful events. The other thing is, again, celebrating those milestones with your children, doing things, events with your children. It's one other thing my mom used to do too is she used to always say that we had alternating weekends, which what it was is that it was my parents, and then it was me and my sister. And what it was is that every weekend, we had a budget. Every weekend we got to do what one person wanted to do. And it was never, it wasn't every weekend, okay, we're going to do what the kids want to do. One weekend was my dad's weekend. Whatever he wanted to do, we did as a family. Next weekend was my mom's weekend. We got to do what she wanted to do. And then, I'd get my weekend and my sister would get hers. I feel like I get the sense like it's almost like you getting your weekend, you've celebrated something, but I am almost getting a strong sense that their happiness is fueling yours, and it's giving you ideas about what you want to do with your life. But I do get an independent energy. But this character reminds me so much like the Queen of Wands, but this is the ace. So it is, you feel empowered in the middle of the week. Now, by the end of the week, you got the King of Wands, and that's really amazing, guys. So, it's quite possible. It's quite possible that maybe by the end of the week, you could be communicating with the father of your child. Either that or you're spending time with a King of Wands character. If this is your energy, I just feel like, and again, you can be a woman in the king energy. Um, the king is very wise. And the thing is, you see a falcon there, which is really kind of a controlled energy. I get the sense that you're feeling really excited about life. The other thing that I'm kind of getting is that there are plans. I feel like you have plans for both yourself and if you're a parent for your child. And it's almost like by the end of the week, you're ready to put those plans in motion. It's almost like by the middle of the week, you have ideas about things how you want to go forward for both you and your family. And but the other thing that I kind of get with this is that Wands is very independent energy. So, but it's also very warm and fun loving. So if you are like a fire sign, and it doesn't have to just be sun, if you know your entire astrological chart, you can have a Leo moon, or you could have, um, you know, a fire somewhere else in your chart. Maybe you have an Aries Mars, but whatever it is, it's like it's almost like you have grand ideas for your life and you want to move forward with them. But what I'm kind of getting is that you know how to move forward with them wisely. Like, you're not going to just say, oh, okay, I want to move to California. Let me sell everything that I own and buy a Winnebago and drive there. No, you're wiser than that, right? You're still going to go for what you want to do, right? Because that's living, and wands people, fire people, they live. They don't wait. They don't wait. They still do. But the thing about the King of Wands is that he's the mature king. He's the end of the suit. There's no other cards above him. And what that tells me is that the thing that I get is that you might be a single parent, but you're a fun loving, vivacious parent, and you have goals in your life. And it's almost like, you're doing for your child, but by the middle of the week, it's almost like you get an idea that you really want to do, but you're considering your child first. So you're not going to, like, jump on a jet plane. You're not going to jeopardize things. The other thing is that I do get the sense that if this is a child, they've got water in their chart. They might be a Pisces child. So what it is they are very sensitive to changes. And it's almost like you're being responsible. You're saying, okay, there's goals that I have in my life, but we're going to do this as a team and we'll both win. I'll get what I need to get done, but I'm not going to, completely uproot or do anything, too terribly reckless. We're still going to live, and it's almost like you're in that mindset at the end of the week. I really get the sense that you have plans and you're going to follow through with them, but you're doing it in a kingly energy. So if you're a man watching this, you could be totally planning for your child, what you want to do, and you'll get it done. I mean, look at this guy, he doesn't mess around. He looks like Zeus, and no one tells Zeus no. So you're going to do what you got to do. If you are a woman in the king's energy, you're still going to do what you're going to do, but it's almost like you're being your own man, right? You're being your own man, and that's not a bad thing. Now, here, your cards, you got a small child, a little child, and with it, you got military person, and you got main person, which is woman, right? So, real quick, I am getting a strong sense you're a man on a mission. You're a woman on a mission. So again, if this is your energy, you have plans. You know what you're going to do for your child and for yourself. But definitely the child kind of came out first. So you are going to put their needs above yours. But you're not going to sacrifice any of your goals either. I always, believe me, I know there were many years where it was just me and my mom, and we were independent, but we really leaned on each other, and it was kind of like a three-legged race. There were steps that we had to take together, and But what I am getting is that you have a little one in play here, and you really want all of your moves. There are big goals that you have. There are big inspirations that are really going to be coming to you at the middle of the week, and by the end of the week, it's almost like you're planning it out. You're going to do what you got to do. And if you're a man watching this reading, this would be you taking action for either the mother of your child or your spouse. But wow, guys, that's a real powerful week, and that's really positive. And again, the king is the king. You know, he accomplishes everything that he sets out to do. All right, guys. So I thank you so much for joining me today. I hope it was informative. I hope there were messages contained for you. If you like my content, I would be very honored if you would like, comment, or subscribe. Also, if you like to join me for another reading, every Tuesday I do post something called How to Tarot, and what that is the beginning part of the video talks about the meanings of one of the 78 card tarot, but the second part of the read, we do the same 3-deck spread, one deck for each reading, on how that card manifests in your life. And this Tuesday we're going to be talking about the 9 of Swords. So I hope that you can join me then, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.